NFL Week 16 is here, and you're watching the 4Ps, parlays, player props, and predictions. In this video, 6 player props for Sunday's NFL slate, as well as our anytime touchdown parlay. 3 fellas to get into the end zone. We parlay them all together. If you are new, my name's Austin from Call on our shot. We're going to dive right in to our anytime touchdown parlay of the week. Last week's parlay, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Allen, AJ Brown, they all came through for over plus 700 odds. We're trying to do it again. I meant to go back and track how these have done this season, but I'm pretty sure we've hit 5 or 6. We do only one every week, so to hit 5 or 6 out of 15, not too shabby considering every single one is in the plus 600-ish range. So this week we're going to plus 779. Get ready. Here are the 3 fellas I like to get into the end zone. Kyren Williams, Jauan Jennings, and Bucky Irving. Combine those 3 guys together, plus 779 on FanDuel. I checked DraftKings was around plus 710. Actually, we have one guy from each window. We have Kyren Williams in the early window at 1 p.m. going up against the Jets. I think he gets in the end zone. Jauan Jennings, who we're going to talk about later on in this video, I think he finds the end zone in the 4 p.m. window. And then Bucky Irving on Sunday Night Football. I like those 3 fellows. Let's try to hit our 6th or 7th straight. I'll go back and track in the videos how many we've hit, but I know it's been a pretty good season for the touchdown parlays. Let's try to hit another one. Now I'm going to dive in my 6 favorite player props of the week. We don't have a separate video. This is the only one I'm going to be talking all about player props for the NFL. Normally we'll do a separate video that we post later on Saturday. I'm not doing that this week. Just one video, get everything out to you guys. But at the end of the video, we're going to talk about Sleeper, and we're going to put all these picks together into one parlay to try to turn $20 into, I want to say over 400. But hey, if you want to sign up for Sleeper right now, they have a great offer out there. You play $5, you get $55 in bonuses. So I think it's a pretty cool offer depending on what your bankroll normally is. I know around Christmas, bankrolls can be a little bit tight. I understand. So this is a pretty cool offer. You don't have to put a ton of money in, and you instantly get $55 in bonus bets. So hey, pretty cool offer out there. Make sure you sign up using my code COS. You'll get this offer plus this Baker Mayfield free square, him to get 1 yard on Sunday Night Football. So again, code COS or the link down below. Play $5, get $55. Pretty cool offer. But you guys came here for some NFL picks. We're diving in. Let's have a massive week. I'm recording this before Saturday's games. Hopefully we went 2-0 there. If not, we're going 6-0 today. Let's dive into the first one. Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers over 69.5 rushing yards, minus 118 on FanDuel. Now, this line could go up and down. I took the 70-plus rushing yards, which is obviously over 69.5. I think his line was at 71.5, so not a real big difference there. I really like Chuba Hubbard and the Panthers to keep this game tight. And I think if they're keeping it tight, we should see a lot of rush yards or at least rush attempts going to Chuba Hubbard. Now, worth noting, we had a separate video, and I'll put that one in the pinned comment. That's where we talk about every single game, give you a favorite spread, money line, and total. This video is all about props. That one's all about spreads and games and stuff like that. But if you look at Hubbard, if you've been back in the last few weeks, hasn't been great. He's had 4 tough matchups. First, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and the Cowboys last week. And you've seen him end with 58, 43, 92, and then 32 rush yards. So under in 3 of 4 did go over against the Eagles, but we're talking about Kansas City and Tampa Bay, 2 of the toughest rush defenses in the league. And the Cowboys have been no slouch either recently. In addition, the Cowboys got up early in that game. So the Panthers really didn't have the opportunity to run a ton. I think you only saw 10 rush attempts. However, I love this matchup against the Cardinals. Since week 10, the last 4 or 5 weeks, the Cardinals have allowed the 7th highest explosive run rate, 4th highest missed tackle rate, and the 9th most yards before contact per attempt. So not only are they giving up a lot of yards before they even make contact with you, they're missing those tackles, giving up a lot of explosive runs. That's basically what that says. And Chuba Hubbard is a guy that we've seen. Is he the fastest guy in the NFL? No, but he's able to break tackles and turn 5-yard carries into 10, 15-yard carries. And I certainly think he can get the job done. You look at his rush attempts line, even though he only had 10 last week, 17.5 this week. So they're clearly expecting to get some more attempts. And we're thinking about a West Coast Cardinals team, obviously based in Arizona, so not really on the coast, but this is a big time change for him. So this game is going to be starting at 1 p.m. local time. So, 1 p.m. Local time in Charlotte compared to like 10 a.m. out in Arizona. So again, I really like this spot here. I don't know if they'll be exactly as physical as they need to be, the Cardinals defense that is, and I think we see the Panthers hand it off to Chuba Hubbard a good amount. If he gets even close to the 17.5 rush attempts that he has line, I think he goes over this line. So I really like Chuba Hubbard's matchup on Sunday. Now my second play is going to be another running back. And it's a little bit of a higher line, but I just have to take it. This is a guy that is an absolute beast. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. Give me his over in rush yards at 89.5 at minus 120 on ESPN Bet. Another one where Depending on what book you are, they probably give you the opportunity to take 90 plus rush yards. Same thing as this. I think honestly, I was close to doing Jahmyr for 125 plus, which I thought was like over plus 200. I think plus 300 on some books. Look, this line's too low. It's almost like when we took Saquon's over against the Panthers a few weeks ago. They made it in like 108.5, and it was like, I understand this is high, but we have to take it. It's too good of a matchup. And once again, this is, even though it's high, I'm rolling with Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, David Montgomery is out. Looks like he avoided maybe a torn MCL. Maybe he's going to try to rehab and try to return later on this season. Either way, hopefully he can. He ain't returning today. And this is going to be Gibbs' backfield. Now, I do expect Craig Reynolds to, get into the fold a little bit, but I don't expect it to be kind of like a 50-50 split, which is what it was for David versus Gibbs. Should probably be more 75, 25, 70, 30, give or take. And we've seen this Bears rush defense has really struggled since week 6. The Bears, third most rush attempts, third most rushing yards allowed, as well as the sixth most yards per attempt allowed to running backs. They have really struggled in week 13 versus the Bears. We saw Gibbs of 87 yards, so just under this. He only had 9 rush attempts. Why? What the heck happened? David Montgomery had 21 carries for 88 yards. If they flip those around, Gibbs probably is running for almost 200. But again, the Bears just have really struggled to stop the run, and I don't see them getting it here. Now, in that game, they ran it 30 times with these two guys. Do I think Gibbs gets 25, 30 rush attempts? Unlikely. But if he gets close to the 18.5 rush attempts line, which is what he has this week, I feel pretty confident him getting the job done. We think about last week, what happened for the Bills versus Lions. We saw them have to throw it 59 times with Jared Goff. They only had 13 running back rush attempts. That's not going to be the case this week. I think it's a massive game for Gibbs. Last year, we saw Montgomery miss a few games. In fact, 3. In his absence, this was Gibbs' rookie year, let's keep in mind. Gibbs, in the absence of Montgomery, 80, 68, and 152 rush yards. He faced the Falcons, the Ravens, and the Raiders. Now, you gotta look at that, you're like, Austin, he only went over in 2 of 3. Let's keep in mind the matchups. Atlanta last year, a top 5 rush defense in the league. They gave up like 3.8 yards per carry. Tough matchup. The second game against the Ravens, he actually only got the ball like 11 times because they lost 38-6. If they lose 38-6 today on Sunday, then sure, I'll take my lumps with him not getting the job done. And then the other one, the only good matchup for him was the Raiders, and he went for 150. I just think he's one of the best running backs in the league. Finally getting that workhorse role that we would love to see. I think it's going to give people a taste of what you would hope to see maybe one day for Jahmyr Gibbs if you're like a fantasy football guy. Don't know if that'll happen with David Montgomery there, but hey, this is a big week for Gibbs. Gibbs, give me his over in rush yards. My third play is going to be a guy we already talked about. And he's a guy in the anytime touchdown parlay. It is Jauan Jennings. I'm taking his over 59.5 receiving yards, minus 122 on FanDuel. I'd play this honestly up to 65.5. Now, these first 3 props, Chuba, Gibbs, and Jauan Jennings, are arguably my 3 favorite props. Still sticking to only 1 units for these 6 picks today. But if you're looking for my top 3, these are probably them. I just can't force more onto the bankroll because I haven't really been good in the NFL so far this year. However, we're getting good this week. At least we hope so. Let's start with Jauan Jennings, though. If you look at Jauan Jennings, when he has Brock Purdy under QB, he plays pretty well. His last 6 games with Purdy and playing 70% of snaps, we've seen Jennings have 175, 93, 91, 56, 90, and 31 receiving yards. So over in 4 of 6. 2 misses. One of them was 56 yards in the snow. The other one was 31 yards last week on Thursday Night Football. And when it was a monsoon, it was raining all over the place. So we're talking about 2 extreme weather scenarios, snow and rain. It's going to be hard to throw the football in those games. Now we see a much better matchup, and we're in Miami where the weather should be good. Also, I think they can close that roof, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, I think this is a big discount on Jennings after last week, just a disaster. Like I said, 31 yards, 2 receptions, 9 targets. Him and Brock Purdy just could not connect. Well, they've had an extended break here with that, extended, mini bye week, if you will. And I think that's a good spot for him. Also, we think about the 49ers running back room. CMC's down. Jordan Mason down. Isaac Guerrero, he's down. They're going to have like Patrick Taylor and the guy they just got from the Jets. So I just don't see them being able to run the football too well, especially given the running backs have really struggled against Miami. They have one of the best rush defenses over the past few weeks. So I look at this as a good spot for Jennings. His receptions line sitting at 5.5 is plus 110 on the over. But I think if he gets to 4 or 5 receptions, he could easily go over this line. So I really like Jauan Jennings over 59.5 receiving yards. Another guy I consider taking up to like 90 plus. I think he could realistically get there. We've seen this Miami Dolphins secondary really struggle. Last week, they did decently well against the Texans, but Texans just couldn't get anything going there. I think it's a tough spot to stop Jauan Jennings and the pass catchers. I'm not betting on Deebo Samuel. He sucks. This is an offense that is throwing it, and it's going to Jennings or Kittle. I really like Jauan Jennings on Sunday. Now we move to another play, and it is one in a later game, our fourth play in the video. It is going to be Geno Smith to throw an interception. Over 0.5 interceptions, minus 114 on FanDuel. All it takes is one. It could be the last play of the game. It could be a Hail Mary at halftime. Hail Mary at the end of the game. It could be at the first play of the game. I don't care. We need Geno to throw an interception. Now, normally I keep these to half-unit plays, but I'll be honest, interceptions props, I went back through my whole record and my spreadsheet. Interception props has actually been one of our more higher winning percentage in terms of props. So, hey, we'll put a 1 unit on this one of my favorite ones of the year. Now, Geno, so far he is coming off an injury game. He got injured last week against the Packers, but full participant in practice. He's ready to go. Geno's been a little bit reckless with the ball. 13 interceptions this year. I think that's third most in the league. Second in the NFL in interceptable passes. So passes that might not be intercepted, but he's thrown a bunch of them, 22. He's thrown an interception in 9 of 14 games, including 7 of 8 at home. So in Seattle with the 12th man, shaking in his boots, he's throwing picks. Now, honestly, even if he wasn't throwing a ton of picks, he's facing the worst matchup for opposing QBs. The Vikings lead the NFL with 20 interceptions. Of the 13 QBs they faced, 10 of them have thrown an interception. 2 of the 3 that didn't were Caleb Williams. So he was 2 of the 3 guys. Caleb Williams, and I want to say Jared Goff. Don't quote me on that last one. Caleb, if you don't know, he's actually Caleb Williams, that is. He's on a interceptionless streak, one of the crazy spots. He might have set a rookie record. He hasn't thrown an interception since week 6. That includes 2 games against the Vikings. However, last week he did try to throw one. He threw one right to Harrison Smith. He just happened to drop it. We look at Geno. He has a pass attempts line sitting at 34.5. He has gone under 34.5 pass attempts 8 straight games. So look, they're pretty confident he's throwing it a ton. The more he's throwing it, the more chances we got. All it takes is one mistake, one bad throw, one tipped ball, one dropped interception, one dropped pass, anything you name it. He could easily get the job done. I've only taken 1 over in interceptions this year. Sam Darnold, he threw one, got called back via penalty, and he also, I swear, he threw like 4 more. So let's just hope Harrison Smith or whoever it is on the Vikings can go grab it. I think they get one off Geno Smith. So give me his over in interceptions. I think he's going to have to be throwing it a ton, given it's pretty hard to run on the Vikings. Now we stay with the same last name. It is another Smith. This one is Jonnu Smith. I like his under 18.5 yards for his longest reception. We're kind of going all over the place. We got some rush yards. We got some receiving yards. We got some interceptions. Now we have an under and longest reception. I like this spot to take his under and longest reception at 18.5. Now, Jonnu obviously has been a beast recently. He's been a reception fiend, getting a ton of targets and receptions. However, he can get as many receptions as he wants, as long as one of them doesn't go for 19 or more yards. Now, you look at Jonnu, when he's played 60% of snaps in 7 games, he has gone under this in 5 of 7. In the last 4 games, we've seen him have a 14, 16, 20, and 10-yard long reception. Now, obviously, I'm putting the games that he was on the field more. If he's on the field as much, I feel even better, but I expect him to be out there a good amount, especially given the injuries the Dolphins have, as Tyreek Hill will be out there, but his running mate, Jalen Waddle, doubtful to play here. So I look at this as a spot. Jonnu Smith's going to be involved offensively, but again, now that there's no more Waddle, you can put even more focus on a guy like Jonnu Smith, who doesn't really go far down the field. Last week, he had 11 targets, 39 air yards, so barely averaging 4 air yards per attempt. So not a great spot here, and it's not an even worse spot given the 49ers pass defense. This season, the 49ers are allowing the 4th fewest yards per pass attempt. They've held tight ends to the fewest receiving yards per game, and only 3 tight ends have hit this over for San Francisco all season long. So while you could take Jonnu's under in receiving yards, I think there's a realistic way he somehow gets like 6 receptions for and he gets those at like 8-9 yards a pop. You're kind of cooked there because the line's like below 50. But I think this is a safer way to take a Jonnu Smith under. It's going to be a full game sweat. You'll never be safe until the final clock hits 0. But I really like this Jonnu Smith under 18.5 yards for his longest reception. I played honestly down to 16.5. My last play in the video, 6th and final one. As I said, this is going to be my only NFL video for Sunday, besides the one where we talk about all the different games. This one is a 2-leg same game parlay. It's a very easy pivot because one of the legs is just a straight bet, and then I'm throwing on something that I think correlates with it. And that is in the Cowboys and Buccaneers game. Sunday Night Football. Wrap up the video, wrap up the week with a 6-0 card Here it is. Rico Dowdle under 75.5 rush yards, parlayed with his teammate CeeDee Lamb, 5+ receptions at plus 120 on Fanatics. I want to say this was plus 115 on FanDuel. Now, obviously, the first leg is the under in rush yards. That is his normal line, 75.5. It is not an inflated line. Trust me, I wish we could do an inflated line. Wish they gave us all unders, but however, we'll have to stick with the 75.5 here for Rico Dowdle. And obviously, CeeDee Lamb to get 5 receptions. Worst case scenario, we lose because CD doesn't get 5 receptions, which he has done in 10 of his last 11. I think he's going to be needed heavily in the receiving game. He is their guy. Ideally, if we're going to lose, I want it to be on Rico Dowdle because that's obviously the meat and potatoes of this parlay. Now, Dowdle, if you've been back in his unders, you've been getting absolutely decimated as he is actually over his last 4 games with 86, 112, 131, and 149 rush yards. He has faced the Commanders, Giants, Bengals, and Panthers. Commanders, Giants, and Panthers are 3 of, I would say, the 5 worst rush defenses in the NFL. The Bengals aren't good. They're not a good defense. Let's keep it a buck. But the Bengals are a little bit better than those other 3 teams. Those other 3 are absolutely abysmal. Now he actually has a tough test against the Buccaneers. Since week 10, the Buccaneers have allowed the fewest rush yards per game, 8th lowest explosive run rate, 5th fewest yards after contact, and the 7th highest stuff rate. So not only are they stuffing a lot of runs where you're basically getting 0 yards, they're also not letting you break a lot of tackles. Look, this is going to be a tough spot for Rico. If he keeps cooking and gets to 80 yards against the Buccaneers, I'll tip my cap. But there's a reason his rush attempts line, even though it was like 18.5 last week, it's coming down to 16.5. So it's dropping. They don't see him having a very efficient day or getting a lot of rush attempts, and obviously that correlates with how many yards he gets. What we've seen since October 1st, 8 running backs have 10 or more rush attempts versus the Bucs. Those guys have finished with 33, 39, 40, 43, 61, 63, 78, 106, and 169 yards. Now, the 169, that was Derrick Henry. He had an 81-yard carry. He absolutely went berserk in the second half. His team was leading that whole game. The 106 was Kareem Hunt on 27 rush attempts. Look, if Dowdle gets 27 attempts, I'll tip my cap because that means we lost. Probably. And then 78 was Sincere McCormick, who I honestly can think it was just more of a Mickey Mouse run. He had like a 30-yard run. I don't see, we'll see Rico Dowdle getting that job done. Hasn't been the most explosive guy. He's been looking good. I'll give him credit. I'll tip my cap to him. He's been really good recently. I just don't see it happening. We're looking at Cooper Rush's pass attempts lines at 33, 34.5. So they expect him to throw it a lot. I think that this is a spot where the Buccaneers load the box, say, hey, Cooper Rush, go beat us. And hey, I think they'll live with it. And that's why I think we'll see CeeDee Lamb get receptions, but Rico not have a great game on the ground. They're obviously underdogs at home here, 3.5-point dogs. So would love to see the Buccaneers leading this one, whereas the Cowboys have been pretty competitive in their last few games. I like this parlay. CeeDee Lamb for 5 receptions, parlayed with the meat and the potatoes, Rico Dowdle's under in rush yards. So to recap the 6 picks we had that 2-leg SGP we just talked about. Then we have Jonnu Smith's under in longest reception, Geno Smith's over in interceptions. Then we have Jauan Jennings over in receiving yards, and Gibbs and our boy Chuba Hubbard's both over in rush yards. That's a 6-0 card. Hopefully went 2-0 on Saturday, and hopefully we can get some momentum going into the end of the NFL season. Those are my 6 picks. Oh, and my final note: we're putting these all together on Sleeper. So of course, we love Sleeper. You guys know it, and we're putting them all together on Sleeper. I meant to note that. Sleeper, obviously, you can sign up with my code COS or the link down below. You play $5, you get $55 in bonuses. You see these. I put 5 of the picks we just talked about. $20 turns into $320. Geno throw pick. Rico's under 72.5. Gibbs, Jauan Jennings, and Chuba Hubbard's going over. So, hey, I like this. $20 turns into $322. If that hits, I will give away $100 in next week's video. Let's have a massive week. Why not us? Let's dominate, and I'll see you guys back in the next one. Like I said, we'll have a Packers in the Saints Monday Night Football video, probably live on Sunday evening. Good luck in Week 16. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.